Hi everyone, this is Amin, and this is the second video of the telemetry dashboard playlist. So if you're following along, we talked about DevOps journey, and now it's time to talk about Docker containers. So since everything is on Docker, so everything is on Docker containers, we're gonna learn it, so get to know it, and it is a time for that. Maybe not thoroughly, because Docker is a big thing to learn, so you may need like a thorough and full course for that. However, we're gonna talk about that, so we should know because we're gonna use some commands of Docker, and for that reason, for sure, you should know what does the command mean or what are the commands are going to do, and whatever. So for that reason, let's talk about that. I mean, it is the idea of the video. The second thing is that, so in general, what is the container? If you can remember, like in the past, we used to create something and send it to a friend, or for example, like in a very, very simple concept, in like maybe 10 or 15 years ago, we used to type something on our computer, like in Microsoft Word, and copy it on a disk and go to a place to print it out. So when we used to go over there, we would see like the format is changed, or like the fonts or the size, everything. And then it was recommended to create it like a PDF file. Have that concept in your mind. Docker containers, they have something the same. So when you put everything in a container and give it to someone else, it is packed and ready. So there won't be any concern about like not being compatible, or like repositories or whatever. It is a thing. So we would like to have Docker containers to be sure that our thing will work on the other computers or the other hosts or web servers or servers. This is the first idea. Secondly, we're gonna have things like isolated, so you can have many machines, many like containers, and they will be isolated. This is the second thing and the good thing. So you would think, okay, virtualization and VMs, they have the same concept. However, the thing here is that they not gonna use a lot of memory. So if you use your virtual machines, for example, on your VMware or VirtualBox Oracle, you're gonna see that you have to share part of your memory or your RAM. Here, it will be somehow the same, but with less memory, and it will boost way faster. So many good things in using Docker containers. And since we're gonna have all of them in one Docker container, so we're gonna use Docker Compose. The idea of this video is showing you how Docker works, what are the basic commands, and then jump to the second video. So first of all, I have Docker on my computer, so I'm not going to install it. But if you want to do it, if you just want to, if you just Google the Docker learning or tutorial or those stuff, and you want to just learn, you are not interested in my playlist, just you want to see that video, and you want to install it, so you come here, Google install Docker, like easily, nothing difficult. The first one is Docker, docsdocker.com, and when you click on that, it brings you to that website. So here you're gonna see, based on your operating system, you're gonna have different choices. For me, it's Mac, so I'll click on that, and as you can see, I can get it directly, the DMG file, or even with the command line. So it is the first step. We're gonna install it like that without any difficulty. Then after that, when you install it, the second thing is that you're gonna have something up here. If I can a little move this thing. Okay, cool, now I got it. I'm using OBS to record my screen, and I had to play with the screen, like record the screen size. Here you can see this up. We have this sign for the Docker. It's a Docker desktop is running, and so we can do with the command space, and it comes here. So if you type Docker here, the first thing here is Docker on Mac, or we can just do a right click on dashboard, and it brings it up containers, images, volumes, whatever. But it's not what we want. What we want, we would like to have a terminal, and we would like to create our Docker containers, run them, and see how they work. So let's jump back to terminal. First of all, if you want to install Docker via command, we do what? We do apt get install docker-io. So by hitting on the enter, it works and it will install it for you. However, since I have it, I'm not going to do that. After installation, how you're going to check if the Docker is installed. So you do docker ps for process. And since you see this one, like you have container ID, image, command, created, status, first names, and these stuff, it means you have the Docker on your computer, which is good. So you have it right now. And it's for process. So, and when it doesn't show anything, it means right now you do not have any running container. But if I do docker ps-all, so these are the previous containers that I was working with them like recently, and I didn't delete them. So with this command, just adding -a, you can see all of them. This is the start. Then imagine you would like to install a Docker container. So we're gonna create our own Docker container, and also we're gonna install. So when you're gonna do something on Ubuntu, on Docker Hub, it's something like GitHub. It does exist, and you're not gonna create like an Ubuntu operating system to a Docker container because it does exist already. How you're gonna install it? You do Docker and then pool. Let's say you would like to have Ubuntu 1804, and then it tries to install it, and it will install it because I had it, like it said, already exists. Or if you do like 20, it installs. Like it, I didn't have that, so it like trying to get the information, and now I have it. If I do docker image ls, or if I do what? If I do docker images, so the same, you're gonna see the containers that I'm having. So look, what I did, I have this Ubuntu 18, Ubuntu 20. These are the things that I installed right now. How can I check docker ps? But they're not running. What should I do? I should come here, do docker, and then say run. Okay. So what else do I need? I for interactive, and T is like a fancy name for TTY. IT. I can say Ubuntu like 1804 or 2004. And also I can come here, just copy this image ID and paste the image ID here, the same. If I do that, it goes directly to the shell. So I'm in the shell of Ubuntu. What can I do here? We have our machine, our Linux machine here in the shell. If we do ls, what do we have exactly? We have whatever that we want to have, like from a machine, from our operating system. Okay, let's install Python. How can I do that? We have a little knowledge in Linux. So the Ubuntu is just installed, so there's nothing on that. First of all, we should update the apt-get. And then the other thing is that the trick is you want to have your command in a way that maybe in the meanwhile you would like to, I don't know, go and grab a beer, you would like to brew a coffee, I don't know, do something. So you come up with a command that it does everything automatically, and then you can do your stuff. I do the same. Probably I'm gonna pause the video because it takes a little time, and then come back. So apt-get update ampersand apt-get install Python and -y for yes if there's any question. And that's it. So hit on the enter. Right now we have the Python is installed. What we can do here, we can just do Python and cool, we're here. So clear, oops, sorry. So we can do like print hello world and like that, and it works and it's good. Let's go out of that and then exit. So I told you how to check. You have your Docker container, do Docker PS, and it shows you the containers. But oops, what happened? There's no container. We just installed. Installed Linux, Ubuntu 20, and we also installed Python on that. But how come when I do Docker PS, it doesn't show anything? So what we did to have our Linux, it was the command docker run-it interactive TTY Ubuntu. But when you do it, it comes exactly like in front of you and you work with that. So when you exit, what will happen? It's gonna stop. How you should do that? You should just add -d, or you can say itd, and then it will run in the detach mode, like behind the scene. Right now, if I do Docker PS, I will see that it's here up 6 seconds ago, and yeah, it is what we have. So right now, we cannot go to the shell with the previous command. How we should do that? Two ways. First of all, do Docker execute, again, interactive TTY, and can come up with the container ID, this one, or the name. Actually, this is the name. This is the image. And yeah, beam. So the same. We are here. So we can do the ls, we can do rest of the things. Or sometimes the machine that you're working with, that, for example, HA proxy, if I'm not mistaken, it doesn't support bash. How you can do that? You just type sh, so just shell, and you go to the shell. So if bash does not work for you, like bin bash, it doesn't exist on the container that you're using, you use shell, sh, and it works. And the same again, you go out, still we have it. There's another way, docker attach and container ID, and again you are in the shell. But there is a thing here. If I do exit and if I do docker ps, we see the container stopped once we come up with the command exit. However, when you do docker exec -it shell or -it like bin bash, and then you do exit, you come out of that thing, container, it still runs. But when you do with attach, you go out, it stops. So I mean, this is the thing. If you do it, you should bear that in mind. It stops the container. And if you want to do the same, use this command. But when you are going out, you cannot attach yet because it stopped. So we should do docker run -itd ubuntu 2004. So, and then docker ps, so docker attach, and the container ID is changed. So if I want to go out of the shell and still have the my container, the container work behind the scene, like in Mac OS it's command Q, or in Windows it's control Q. So you just do the control Q, it's gonna, sorry, command Q, oops, it's gonna detach like that from the shell. And if you do docker ps, you still have it. So do the docker attach and control command, control and Q, it detaches, and then you have it behind the scene. This is the first thing. So let's come back again to the shell. I want to again work on Python. So I'm something like a DevOps engineer. Maybe I like Python, but what? We just installed Python. Why we don't have it? Another thing. So when you do something in your container, when you install something and when you leave your container, I mean, when you stop it, everything will run away, something like that. If I want to like a little more non-technical. So you should save it, but how to do it? Actually, you should commit your changes. We should install it again. So we say apt-get again. I know it's okay, but I would like to just repeat the command for you to remember it. So apt-get update install ampersand and then -y. So yeah, it should be done this faster, but okay, cool. Now we have it, and if we do Python, if I write it correctly, if we do Python, we have our Python. I'm gonna do exit, go out of the Python. I'm still in the shell. What should I do? I'm gonna do the command Q, control Q, sorry. Come out of the shell, do docker ps. The container is still running, so I have time to commit. What's the command to commit? We say docker, so commit. Oops, sorry, before that, docker ps, let's have the container ID. So then docker commit. What is the container ID? Let me copy that. Ctrl C, Ctrl V. Right now, we do need a new name for that. So it is still Ubuntu. The best strategy is to change the tag. So Ubuntu, since we installed Python, let's call it Ubuntu py. Okay. So it can happen for everything. Maybe like you would like to have your web server like Nginx. Then it is the way that you can like solve your thing. Then you do docker images, and this time you'll see here, like 17 seconds ago, you have your new Ubuntu with this tag that it has Python. So if we even do docker container stop, so I would like to stop this container, docker container stop, hit on the enter. So then docker ps, there's no running container. I'm gonna do docker run -itd, and this time I'm saying Ubuntu colon py and enter. So do docker ps, we have it here, docker exec -it, this container ID and shell. So if I do Python, sure, we have it. This is the way that if you change something, you can save it in your Docker machine. So far we have installed Docker. We did commit, run, stop. We went to the shell and saw the difference, like Docker execute, Docker attach. Let's work a little more on images. So if I type docker image and hit on the enter, so it gives me a list of the things that I can do. What are these? I'm just repeating again. It's not a thorough course on Docker. It's just a course that you need to know like the basic stuff. For that reason, just look at here. The Docker build is when you want to build an image. Docker history, it shows, so Docker build, we will build an image, so you'll see that. Docker history, it shows the history of an image. What does this mean? If I do Docker image, so we have Docker image ls, like the ls in Linux. Also, we can do Docker images, they are the same. Docker image ls or Docker images are the same. Oh, it's kind of a little crowded. Docker images. First, we installed this Ubuntu 20, and then we changed something on that. So we can see by command docker image history, we can see different layers. How? Like that. Do docker image history and history, yeah. Ubuntu py. Probably I typed something wrong. Docker image history, and you should come up with the container name Ubuntu like 2004. So yeah, here you can see the history of that. Yeah, first time I installed that, I removed the image, so this is why it is saying missing, but it is installed, and this is the like the command was bash, and this is the image ID. Okay, if I do the same with the py, it says look the same. So installed, missing, and it has a new layer. So these different layers, I mean, when you're working in higher levels, you see the difference and what these layers will do for you. Right now, just know that it shows they are connected like that to each other. You know, somehow the first two layers are the same, it has another layer. So even when you want to remove, sometimes you see something like an error. You would like to delete layer that it has some parts of that, and you cannot because they have the same history. Anyway, so do Docker image. What else do we have? Import when you want to import. Inspect. Docker, let's say image, and then you do inspect. You come up with the name Ubuntu py. It gives you a list of the thing that you have here. It is a like fully detailed. So if you scroll, you'll see what is the operating system, the architecture, the image name, the path, the Docker version. If it is in a specific network, you'll see. And yeah, it has good information for you, and also like the layers. So the host name, domain name. We don't have any domain name right now. So in this way, you'll see all of this stuff, good information. Docker image. What else do we have? Inspect, load, ls, prune. Prune is for the time that, I mean, the name shows. You have the images that you don't use them. Pull and push. So it's when you want to do something to Docker Hub, to pull, to install, and push your data to your Docker Hub account. RM to remove. I'm gonna show you. Save. Save is for the time that you would like to make a zip file, and tag. So after capturing the video, then I realized my face, my camera, which was here, was covering some commands. So I just redid that again and added. What I wanted to do, I wanted to come here and do Docker image or Docker image ls, sorry. So it is what we have, like the Ubuntu py, and it is the image ID. And I wanted to show you how you can remove it. If you do, let me make it clear. Then Docker image ls, and I do Docker image remove, and I come here, copy the container ID and paste it, and hit on the enter. It tells me, hey, there's a conflict. I cannot do that, and even you cannot force me. Why? Because this image is being used by a container. So if we do Docker ps, it shows us, yeah, we have a running container, and it says since it is a running container, you cannot force it, or you cannot remove it. We say, okay, cool. We're gonna do something. We're gonna deal with that afterwards. I want to remove this one, the 1-20 that I installed before that. So I copy this one. I do Control C, do the same Docker image RM, and Control V. And let's see what it says. It says, hey, there's another sort of conflict. I'm able to delete the image because it has dependent child image. What it was, the history that I was telling you, like the Docker image history command that showed they are dependent to each other. It is saying Docker images. What it says, it is saying, okay, this 1-20, it has it has a like dependent child, and the child is Ubuntu py. So if you want to remove the Ubuntu first, you should remove this one, and this one is running like a container. how we can do it, we should come here to Docker ps and just do Docker container stop, copy the container ID, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V. So we stopped it, and then we do Docker container. So it is a stop. We can even remove it, or it doesn't matter. Just if I want to show you how you can remove it, Docker container rm and Ctrl+V. So it removes, but even if you don't remove it, so Docker images, you come here and do Docker image rm. This time, if you copy and paste it, it is deleted. So you can delete it like this. How you can delete two containers, two images, Docker image rm. Imagine we would like to delete all of this. So Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, just one by one. So I'm removing all of my Linuxes, Ubuntu, CentOS, and I hit the enter, and so you should force them. Oh, some of them are working. I cannot force them. It's another challenge. So Docker ps, which one is running? The CentOS is running, and Debian, Ubuntu, all of them are running. So first we should stop them, and then we can, in this way, we can remove them. It is a thing, just come up with the names one by one continuously. Start it, so let's install another container. So I would say Docker pull. I told you can do Docker run-it. It installs it and run it, or you can do Docker pull. So in the previous we did Ubuntu number. Here what we're gonna do, just say CentOS. If I don't say anything here, what will happen? It says, oh, using the default tag. You can say latest, but if you don't say anything, by default it uses the latest available on Docker Hub. Then let's install, let's say, Debian. They are my images. If I do Docker images, I save them here. So I do Docker run-itd CentOS. The same with Debian. Good. These two are working. Clear. And Docker ps. What are the IP address? So we do Docker, then come up with the name, inspect, Docker inspect. You can use the name or the container ID. Let's say this one, Ctrl+V. I'm gonna inspect this container with the grep ipaddrs. So what is important here, the being like capital or small, I mean the alphabet. So it is for the Debian. We can do this. Okay. What is the thing here? By default, when you create a network in Docker, your network will be a /16. So those two last parts will be changed. And if you see, one of them is, first we created the CentOS. So CentOS is 02, then we created Debian. It is 03. If we install like an Ubuntu right now, we'll see it will be, let's do it, Docker run-itd Ubuntu, let's say 1404. So I just installed Ubuntu. If I do Docker ps and do Docker inspect, I mean the same command that we used here, but use the Ubuntu, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, grep ipaddress. So since CentOS was the first one was 02 and the Debian 03, this Ubuntu will be 04, and yep, as we're expecting, yeah, 04. And 01 is the gateway. They are in a default bridge network of Ubuntu, of Docker. So if I do clear, I do Docker network, what it gives me, like the same when we did Docker images, Docker image, it gave us the list of the command. The same here we can do. So we do Docker network less, and it says the name. These, I mean, right now, ignore this, sorry. Ignore this one, I created that for the project, the one that I'm gonna talk about that in the coming videos. But by default, there are 3 networks when you install your Docker container. So Docker, host, none, and branch. How you can get the IP address range? So you do Docker and network, Docker network, then come up with the name. Oops, sorry, inspect. So you're gonna do the inspect. Look here, we have ls, we have inspect Docker network inspect, and then use the name or network ID, the same, let's say bridge. You right now grep this thing, subnet. I mean, you can inspect, you can read all of them, but if you want to get the range, you'll see here it is 172.17.00/16. And if we do the same for dismissed wireless monitoring, we do Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, like that, it tells us it has different networks, so they are isolated. We can connect them to each other via this one, Docker Network Connect, or we can disconnect if they are connected already. We can create our own network. I'm going to show you, like in the videos that when I want to install InfluxDB, Docker Network create. And also you can remove, like we were doing Docker remove the image ID, Docker image remove something, Docker network remove something. So we can remove, we can prune the same. I mean, the concepts are the same and commands are the same. So this is what we have for the commands. So in the next part, I'm gonna show you how you can run your file, like your Docker file. Okay, in this one, we're gonna see how we can create our own image. As you can remember, when we were working, we did a Docker image to see the list of the things that we can do, and there was one here to build, and it is the time that we would like to build our image. So for that reason, I'm gonna use Visual Code Studio like that. I have a folder, sample folder here. I'm gonna do a right click, new file, or just use this icon here, the shortcut icon. I'm gonna call it main-py. So automatically it changes, like when you add the suffix py, it changes it to the Python thing. I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna say print hello, like that. Okay, so I'm gonna do a hello, and then that's it. It works. If I run it, it prints a hello for me. What's the next step? Again, the same. Click here, and this is the thing. You should choose a Docker file name, and when you choose it, first of all, I have the plugin from Visual Code Studio. For you, it'll show you it's good to install the recommended Docker plugin, so you're gonna install it, or if you already have it, it shows that you already have it. So when you change the name or choose that specific name, it helps the command to search for this file. And when you give the working directory here, so it knows where to search. I mean, you make the life easier when you choose a name like that. Okay, the Docker file. And always, I mean, you can use it in small, but capital is more common. So you're gonna say from, let's come up with from. You need a base image for that. So from Python, Python, and I'm gonna say the latest version. I want a good version. So Python. Then after the Python thing, what else do we need to have? Copy, like when you want to have a copy of the thing that you have. How you're gonna do that? You say Python and then you say copy. So Python copy, copy. What is the source? Source means whatever you have, and everything that we have is right here. So this is the source. I'm gonna copy it to app, and then a work directory, the other thing. So since you copied everything to the app, the work directory will be there. So in this way, I'm saying we have a source and destination. We're gonna copy that to the other part, and yeah, that's it. CMD, the command will be Python. Then let's say, what do we have exactly in this directory? Main dash py. And right now we create our Docker file. So we're gonna come here and click do Docker image build dash t. We should come up with a name. So let's call it my hello test. And then it asks where the image should be located, and just by adding the dot it means here. If I do Docker images, like the first image, if I do Docker images, my first one should be this, my hello test. How can I check it? If I do Docker run and it's just a hello, so there is no need to add -it, my hello test, it prints out for me the hello. So like easy. Let me do that again. Yeah, I have the hello here. If you want to have something a little fancier, for example, imagine you have sort of a Python file that it needs some arguments, it needs input, then how it should work. So the Docker file is okay, it is working, but I'm gonna even change the Docker file. So with this Docker file, whatever I add to the main py, it works. However, I would like to show you can do it in another way. So I mean, bear that in mind, that's okay. So let's start with that. Print hello is good. I'm gonna make the little maybe beautiful. So this is the script. It says, hello, my name is Amin. What is your name? And said, nice to meet you. I mean, nothing crazy. Just tons of print commands, but it needs an input. So we come here. I want to have it different. Instead of, if you don't want to have a copy in a working directory, you just need to say add. You just need to add it, and add what? Add the main py, the file that you have from here, and that's it. So it's sort of simpler to have it. And the other thing is that if you just want to print hello, there's no need to have the latest version of Python. So it's just Alpine version. I'm going to show you the difference, but if it's Alpine version, you can have it. Alpine version is the simpler and like lightweighted version. There are more things that we can do here. If we need a virtual environment, so we do need to come up with an environment. We should say we need a virtual environment. This is one of the things. If we have a sort of a script that it might be in a like infinite loop, or it might stuck in a loop, we do need what? We do need stop signal. So stop signal is for the time that you need something like Control C or Control Z to stop it. What else? Sometimes you do need to open a port, and with expose, let's say 5000, you're gonna have a like web server or something. So 5000 is your port. So these are out of our case, but if you see environment, stop signal, or expose, in these ways you can add, like, make it more spicy, more juicy. But right now we just say we want to have Python Alpine version, and we have our main py, and it is what we have. Then we come here and we do docker image build -t. Let's call it how are you? Okay, let's call it how are you, and here. So hit on the enter. It's done. So let's do docker images. Docker images, let's say like that, more. And if you look here, so my hello test, it's like 881 megabytes. But this one, which is the Alpine version, the how are you, is just 50. For that reason, for just printing, this one is better. So let's finish it. Let's run it. Clear. Let me just remove my video. I'm occupying a lot of space here. So we're gonna come here, do docker run how are you, and we see we are seeing an error. So what is the thing? In previous one we did for the other one we just did docker run and it worked. But why it is not working right now? What is the problem? Because we do have an input here. So when we have an input, for sure we do need dash IT. You do need an interactive terminal. So if I do it like that, then it works for me. So let me just clear. Like that. So it is working. What is your name? Let's call it Peter. And it says, nice to meet you, Peter. In the previous video, I showed you how you can build your image. But the thing is that the process of building an image is not like an easy process or something that you can understand how Docker does it. It's kind of complicated, and after that, you're not gonna have a file in your computer that you see that and say, okay, this is the file of my image. It doesn't like it. So the thing is, sometimes you have these images, like this is the one that we created. How are you? And you want to have a file. So you want to SFTP it. Yeah, you can pull and push to Docker Hub and get it wherever you want, but sometimes you want to SFTP the file. Sometimes you want to have a backup. For any reason, you want to have a zip file of that. So there are two ways to do that. We can create the gzip or tgz file, which is literally compressing a file. When the file size is too big, it's the better solution or the best solution. But tar is just, putting things into a box. So it doesn't compress. It's not compressing. How it works? Let's go to gzip. So we should copy the image ID like that, and then do docker save. So docker save, then image ID, then pipe. So we do gzip, and so here we should come up with a destination. Where to do that? For that reason, I'm gonna do what? I'm gonna come here, make directory. Let me call it test and cd test. So pwd, I'm going to be here, and docker save image id gzip. Right now, I'm not gonna, I mean, kind of it's easier. Go to the folder that you want to have your file, and then say, okay, let's say hello and tgz. So as soon as you hit on the enter, it does the process. It is working and it did it. So if I do ls, we have it. How's the other one? So docker save, first part is the same, container ID, but here you do this and you come up with the destination. Let's say hello, hello again, but this time it is a tar file, and the same. So this time it takes more time because the tar file is just putting on the pack. If I do ls-lia, even we can see the tar file, the size is bigger. So here we can see the tar file has a bigger size. So right now we have that. And let's do docker image and remove dash f. So I want to remove this one. Ctrl C, Ctrl V. So that one, the how are you latest, whatever, it is deleted. So if I do clear docker image ls, we don't have that here. The how are you, it doesn't exist. So let's bring them back. Let's first work with that hello tar. If I want the tar file back, I should do docker load. So docker load, and then the question is where. So let's say, I mean, should come up with an address like that, and when we do docker save, it is like this, and then like that again, destination. So it is hello and the tar file. So searching for the destination, searching for the file, working on that, and bring it up. So it's the image is loaded. Let's check docker images. It is loaded, but as you can see, there is no name for that. So that's super cool. You can come up with a name. You're gonna do what? You're gonna copy the image ID, Ctrl C. You're gonna do docker. So we want to sort of rename it or change it. So we do docker tag image ID, whatever name you would like to have. At this time, I want to name it test1, or let's say, yeah, my test. I have test containers. Yeah, test1, and with the tag, let's say loaded. If I do docker images, we do have it here, test1 loaded. And if I do docker run -it, so test1 loaded, we'll see it works. Hey, what's your name? This time come up with John, and nice to meet you, John. So let's remove it. Docker remove docker rm -f test1, Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V. Docker image. Okay, so if I do docker ps, it doesn't exist. Docker image ls, docker ps, I mean, no sign of that. That's super cool. But if I do ls, like the last time we worked on the tar, do docker, let me, docker load -i and the file, because we are in the correct directory. Hello and tgz. The same thing happened. Docker images, it's here with the name none, so we do docker and then docker tag copy the image ID. So test, again, let's call it hello test2, and let's call it back again, something like that. Do darker images. It does exist. So if I try to run it, actually let me copy the container ID, then clear, then do darker run -it, and this, it's gonna work. So John, Peter, this time let's come up with Matt or Matthew and say nice to meet you, Matt. Yeah, that's it for that. Whatever I wanted to tell you for Docker.